In this tutorial, I will teach you the basics of customizing your hotspots and making them take the shapes or colors you'd like to see in your virtual tour developed with Pano2VR. For this exercise, I've already created a project with two 360-degree photos, a kitchen and a living room in an apartment. First, I'll show you how to create a conventional hotspot. Let's make a hotspot that takes us from the kitchen to the living room. So to do this, you'll link the 360-degree photos as follows. Select an image to display it in the main viewer, and then click and hold on the image you want to link, dragging it to the point where you want the hotspot to be created, like this. As you can see, the hotspot that will take us from the kitchen to the living room has already been created. How will this conventional hotspot look without any customization in your tour? To check, you can create an output file, which is done using this panel. Click on the More icon and select Web. Then, several options will appear. Look for Files to create and click on the gear icon, which is Generate Output File. Pano2VR will generate a preview that will open in the browser. Here we can see how our hotspot looks. It has no customization, it shows it as Pano2VR creates it by default. But it works perfectly to go from one space to another because we've linked the 360-degree photos. To create a different and customized hotspot, we need to generate an interface or skin. In the Pano2VR output panel, you will find this Interface Editor icon. Click on it and it will open the editor. I'll save the interface right away in a folder. I've created this one for the skin of this project. The Interface Editor offers many tools to customize skins. For this tutorial, we'll only use two: Add Interactive Element Template and Draw a Rectangle. The Interactive Element Template will be the hotspot you'll create and customize. As an initial step, simply place it at coordinates 0 and at the central anchor. Hotspots usually come with a default name or ID such as HTTP node. Make sure it is the same in both the element properties and the interface editor. Save the interface, close the editor, and check that the interface is automatically selected in the output panel. If not, look for it in the folder where you saved it and select it. At this point, we've already created a skin with a hotspot, but observe what happens when I export the tour. Our hotspot doesn't appear. This happens because, when creating a hotspot in the skin, we've removed the standard parameters from Pano2VR. This isn't bad, it just means we can now start customizing the hotspot. Let's make a simple customization using the rectangle button I mentioned earlier. Click on the button and it will create a rectangle with a random location. Place it in the central anchor as well and with the location parameters at 0. Now, observe the elements tree. Both the hotspot and the rectangle are independent. If you want your hotspot to take the shape of this rectangle, you need to link both elements. To do this, click on it and drag it into the hotspot like this. Now it is part of it and will be visible. Let's test it. Save, go to the browser, and see that our rectangle is already starting to appear. However, if I click on it, nothing happens because I haven't configured any action for this hotspot to take me from the kitchen panorama to the living room. Now, what if instead of a rectangle, we make a circle? You can give the rectangle the shape you want by adjusting its proportions in the size option of the position panel. I will adjust them to 60 by 60. You can also modify other details. I want my shape to have no background, and finally, I will set the radius to 999 to make it a circle. I will also make a wide border, set the border width to 5, and change the color to blue. Let's see how our hotspot is looking. To see the changes, save again and go to the browser. Here, we already start to see the customized hotspot we are creating. It doesn't have an action yet, but we can already see it. Repeat the exercise with me to add another detail inside our hotspot. Create another rectangle. Place it inside the hotspot with the same configurations. Now make the shape have a filled background, no border, and make it a bit smaller. Again, save and let's see how our hotspot looks. Now, I want this hotspot to switch between 360-degree photos when clicking on it. For this, we must program an action. You can do this by selecting the hotspot, clicking on it, and finding the Actions panel. In this panel, double-click in this space under the Source column to select the source of an action. This way, when clicking on the hotspot, you can make the completed action open next panorama. Also, select URL from the active area to choose the panorama you already have linked. Another thing you can do is configure the views, initial, current, etc. I will leave it in the default option, which is the initial view. Click OK and save again. Now, if we click on the hotspot, we will notice that it already takes us to the linked 360-degree photo, and that's how you customize hotspots in a basic way. I hope you've learned something new with this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and if you want to learn more about using Pano2VR and developing virtual tours like an expert, visit and follow our Perspektiva 360 channel.